Good Friday morning, 1 Samuel 15. But Samuel replied, "What is more pleasing to the Lord, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? Listen, obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. Rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft, and stubbornness as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." This rebuke of Samuel contains a saying that marks the high moral tone of the teaching of all the prophets. It soon became a fundamental principle with them. To obey is better than sacrifice. In this passage of the fall of King Saul, we see how he rationalized his sin and what the true nature of obedience is. Saul was a nobody when he was appointed king. God, as the true king over Israel, set Saul up as his prime minister, so to speak, to carry out his directives, very similar to the relationship between Pharaoh and Joseph. For hundreds of years, God ruled over Israel through judges like Samuel, but Israel wanted a king, and Saul was chosen as the first. Gradually, Saul began to view himself as his own master. He saw himself as a king who could run his own kingdom as he saw fit. He gave lip service to the prophet, but in his heart, he was building his own kingdom. Saul was like so many who begin by walking in this spirit, but after a time they begin to walk in the flesh. They may not come right out and say, "I'll do it my way," but that's what they do. Saul had been doing this job for years. He knew the ropes, and he was doing fine all by himself. When confronted by Samuel, Saul assumes perfect innocence and obedience. He protests that his intentions were so good, his motives were right. But he conveniently forgot the fact that in Deuteronomy 13, the law forbids devoted things being used for sacrifice. Saul knew better. He had become so adept at rationalizing his sin, obedience was all but a stranger to him. The methods of rationalizing his sin included selective obedience. "But I did obey the Lord." Blame shifting. "My soldiers made me do it." And subterfuge, a deceit that hides true motives. These cattle were really kept for worshiping God. This was an ancient example. You want a few modern ones? "I only play the lottery so when I win the money I can give it to the church." "I'm dating this non-Christian guy so I can win him to the Lord." "I only laugh at their dirty jokes so I can tell them about Jesus later." Where did we ever get the idea that we can do evil so that good may result? To obey is better than sacrifice. I can think of no virtue greater than obedience. Disobedience cuts at the root of all authority. To not obey God is as dreadful a sin as idolatry or witchcraft. It takes courage to obey God and not yield to peer pressure. One old-timer said, "Any dead fish can float downstream, but it takes a live one to swim against the current." To obey is better than sacrifice. Lord, you said if we love you, we will keep your commands. As I walk closer to you, I know I get further from sin. So Lord, walk me as far away from sin as you can take me so that it's never close enough to stab and kill me. Give me a willing heart that wants to follow you, Lord, wherever you may lead me. Let me follow as a lamb follows a shepherd. In your holy name I pray. Amen. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.